Jess. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I really enjoy sharing myself in this format. I'm hoping to reach people who can relate to some of the things that I say. I'm practicing saying things that I wouldn't normally say out loud. And I'm wondering if there are other people out there who don't always say out loud what's on their heart or mind. I've been a little obsessed with the news lately. I never really cared much for news. Ever since the Capitol incident of January 6th, I've been a little obsessed. News can be very jarring, especially for someone with PTSD. I remember being frightened by the news as a child. I was an extremely frightened child, highly sensitive little girl born to completely insensitive and inconsiderate adults. But I do remember pretty clearly being tormented by the news, I guess. There was an incident when I was in kindergarten. It's a really long story. But, it was the telephone game in kindergarten where I was maybe not even 5 years old because I started kindergarten pretty early, but all the kids were sitting on the floor in a circle. And at one end, they started a whisper. Whispering from one ear to another. And I was at the other end of the circle. I think that I had already had a rough morning and I was sitting with the teacher. And when the child next to me whispered something in my ear, I freaked out. I could swear that what she said was like a news story about a van that was abducting kids in the parking lot. Oh, it's funny now, it wasn't then. My mother had to pick me up that day, so I couldn't keep it together. So I'm trying to curb or control systems that are no longer working for our needs are being brought to light and exposed. And that change is hard. Some people are not ready or prepared for big changes. And they fight it, make it more difficult, even though change is difficult as it is. But then there are the others of us who are ready, who are bringing the change. Unfortunately, I haven't done a whole ton in the way of action regarding social justice. I'm more of an energy contributor, if that counts for anything. But I see change coming, and I embrace it. I've considered the idea of using this format to deliver news. I wonder if there are people out there who are sensitive like me, but still want to know the basics of what's going on in the world, delivered in a more gentle way than the actual news. I know I don't have much of an audience at this point, but if you do happen to hear this and have any interest in this news idea or any other suggestions, please comment. I appreciate you. I've been reading a book, narrating an audiobook about PTSD, specifically CPTSD, complex trauma in childhood, and the effects that it has on a person's entire life. It's kind of weird that I get so much satisfaction, if you will, from reading about it. It's like, even though I know that I can never go back and get the childhood validation that I needed, reading about the research and detailed facts about how those things affect people, it just feels like as close as I can get, maybe, validation-wise. Anyway, if you are listening to this, I appreciate you. I've struggled to maintain journaling over the years. Not sure why, because when I do it, it's helpful, and it often comes out lovely. My journal entries turn into poems. I'm gonna share one. I am repetitive, like a skipping record. The melody plays a bar or two, and then gets stuck in a groove, skipping and skipping, while I'm holding my breath, begging for the music to start. The needle just needs a little push to get over the edge and start the music again. I like that one. Music is a really important metaphor for life. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's been a really important thing in my life. I've said it many times over the years, but when I was a little girl, surrounded by chaos, there were two things that I could turn to for comfort: music and sugar. And one is clearly healthier than the other. But I am finding comfort in sharing. I've had a hard time with building relationships over the years. I want to be close to people so badly, and I always end up pushing them away or isolating myself in some way. And I've found validation in my research of CPTSD that it's not me, it's the illness. And it's common, or at least it's known. It's known that people with CPTSD struggle in relationships. It's not my fault. Just like you, whoever listening to me now, if you have mental illness struggles, it's not your fault. Yes, it's our responsibility to try to heal and move forward as best we can. But it's not our fault, and especially the things that happened before we knew. Because for a lot of my life I didn't understand. I didn't know about with shame and regret sometimes.